Good evening. Yes, it's been a while since I have been on Facebook Live. So I'm going to give you just quick little updates on things. I have little things like Tradefor is well on its way to being able to be distributed. And so I'm going to run through that. I'm interested in any questions that you have. Rusty's here, Xavier's here, good to see you. Jason Hatch is here. So yeah, we've got a load of updates. So I've just come back from Australia. I spent 2 days in, hey, how are you, partner? Partner it is. Yes, Peter Thomas is here. So 2 days in Melbourne, Craig Hardman, 3 days in Adelaide with Exis. And we saw a couple of window cleaners there, and then 4 days with Bree, my daughter, in Perth, and spent some time with Peter Thomas, a couple of nights with him. Peter is watching. So we've got some really, really interesting things. Some of them I'm not going to tell you, but I can tell you we have a lot of things going on. A lot of, you know what happens? You get a little bit of momentum. I'll tell you an old saying, right? It says, where there's momentum, the weak become strong. And where there's no momentum, even the strong can become weak. So, you know, some of the things that happen in life will take away your momentum, and then you got to pedal like crazy, and you get pretty tired. And then when you get momentum, you can just get shit done, you know. So we're really excited. Bree joined us. Bree's my middle child from the same mum as Harrison, Chantel. And so Bree's joined us in Perth, and she's a GTD type girl, getting things done. And she's like PA to me, so we're getting less... when I travel, quite often we get this, there's no customer service from Perry or whatever, because I'm in aeroplanes and I get tired and all that. Alan Smith is here. Good to see you, cowboy. So, you know, anyway, so enough of that. So, but we did, there's a great video I put up on YouTube, was Craig Hardman training a lady called Simone. And Simone has got construction cleans or builders cleans, whatever way you want to call them. And so she's got a crew of 10 ladies, and they're putting up, well, I don't know, maybe you're a friend of a friend. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. So that's funny. Why are you on my feed? We can be friends. I'm a friendly kind of guy. Nick Evans is here. Good to see you, Nick. So yeah, so Craig and I went out, and we actually used Craig's gear, you know, in his vehicle and his window weapon and things like that on a construction cleaner. We're taking off stickers and the residue from stickers as well, you know, using window weapon without using scaffolding. So I think that's really interesting to be able to see it in real life, you know, with a real customer. So if you want to go to youtube.com/future of cleaning, I think you'll find that our channel is the most informative channel. It doesn't have the biggest following. We're not really so into that, because I think, you know, on the social media side, it's really easy to load up with people from different countries, third world. But we do have certainly a lot of information there. There's a lot of information I did before I left on pressure, resistance, and flow, which I think is really interesting for those of you who are getting seriously into water fed. Understanding the fluid dynamics of water, going to a brush and then having more jets, using more water, using less time, all of that sort of thing. So Craig, there's a 15-minute video. It's, you know, a bit of a long watch, but it's really, really informative, and it teaches a lot about the power of window weapon on jobs which you would have said are not water fed jobs. And I think that's the exciting thing, is that, hey, Nick Evans, yes. So the thing which I set out to do originally, actually, if you go back to 2009, 2010, it was all about whether we could reach a higher piece of glass without using a ladder. Very quickly it became, Christine Lee is here. Good to see you, Christine, from South Korea. Yes, I hope you got my email. Yep, with our deal for the Korean market. That's exciting. So yeah, I do, and I'm off to maybe I might be going to I'm definitely going to Indonesia July 10 to July 14. There's a cleaning expo there with one of the suppliers there, and then there's a guy chasing ISS and airports and all sorts of things, so I'm going to touch up with him. And oh great, good on you, Christine. I think that's exactly on the point for that market, you know, for the developing markets. Well, it's not a developing market, it's fully, South Korea is fully developed. It's really those markets where the currencies are a little bit weaker than the USD. So, and then also that window cleaning is still in its early stages of evolution as an industry. Great, good on you, Brian. You can just listen to me. I'll show you this so you know. This is Tradefor, right? We're going to do, we've got Tradefor, Trad 8, and Trad 12. Right, and it's basically a 3-part pole that has Kevlar. So if you look really closely in there, you can actually see what Kevlar looks like. Now, I have a Trad 8 without that on it, right? So this is a Trad 8, I think. Yeah, 900. Yeah, so this is a Trad 8, and this is without the paint on it. So this is what Kevlar actually looks like. If you see black and gold, that is not Kevlar. That is Kevlar woven with carbon fiber. So somebody says, like, it's just really important. This does not conduct electricity. This does not conduct heat. Black and gold does. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and I'll show you. We've got a new kink and a few things like that. Okay, this is not going to be well structured, by the way. This is a little bit of a ramble. So feel free to ask any question because I'll probably just answer it in real time. Right, but the idea of Tradefor from Reach It is, I'm really interested in your feedback on this, by the way, because it's easy to bring out a pole. A pole is so, it's just, you know, I almost swore. It's tubes and clamps, right? It's not magical, right? A pole is not magical anymore, right? There was a time where they were only made from aluminum, and then they got made from, you know, fiberglass, and then they got made with fiberglass and carbon fiber. Now all those days are gone, right? Now there's nothing special to a pole. So how do we make it special? How do we make it different? And I didn't bring out a trad pole this year until I had something which I thought was a point of difference that would be of value to you, not just something I could say. And the biggest thing is that everybody said is that when they put their pole down in summer, like a carbon fiber pole or an aluminum pole, then it gets hot, right? Really hot to touch. And then the same in winter, when it gets freezing, then it freezes through. Even if they've got gloves, it freezes through. So that's where I decided that the real solution for trad poles is with Kevlar in the handle section. Now, once you open from the handle section, then it's carbon fiber, yeah? So it's the same 100% carbon fiber, no fiberglass, crazy lightweight. Stephen Noel is here. So you have a look at this. I'm working on the tips. So, you know, this is not my area of expertise. So at the moment, we're gonna have an apex, you know, at the tip, and then you'll have the ability to change angles using the apex, and it'll have tiny teeth in there as well, so you can adjust it quite finely. And then this is a really soft rubber, and excuse my putting of a locking screw in there, but we're going to put a locking screw in there so that you can change it out, because this it really, you know, if you jam, like this is an Unger Ninja handle, and it just doesn't want to twist on there, right? It really grips it, but we don't know how long it'll grip it for. Like, that's the truth, right? And that's an Unger, and it grips. It just doesn't move on there. It really grips it. So what I'll do, I think, is I'll put, you know, a couple of these in there so that if, you know, nobody's got any problems if one does lose its grip or anything like that. And then I'm interested what other fittings you want on there. Hey, Jamie Schmidt, how are you? This is a trad pole, so it's a little Kevlar handle. And Jacob Dell is here. I think you'd appreciate this, Jacob. So there's a Trad 4, Trad 8, and Trad 12. Simple poles. The great thing is that balance, you know how we've made a balance which makes the pole balance when you're standing it on the ground, a rubber end cap. Balance will actually drive those out over. Yeah, we're not really into send everything for free to anybody, Alan. It's not really our style. Like we do have a pretty cool team of prototype testers, but something like this is quite simple, you know. And so basically balance will fit over the top, and then you can actually, you know, because again, like traditional guys put the pole down, and then if you're using swivel adapters like the wagtails, you know, or the Mormons, those guys, you're using this, then when you put it up against the building, then it'll want to swivel, and if you've got a round pole on the ground, then it's going to want to spin. So that's why we put balance on the bottom with the, I haven't got one here, but you know, I left them all in Australia. So, you know, you'll be able to, you know, angle off whatever you want, whichever squeegee you want. So I'm excited about that. Jeff Roach from Central Coast, Australia. Good for you. I'll be in Sydney last week in July. So we might try and run just a little half-day get-together. Good on you, buddy. Love your style, Alan. So yeah, I'll be in Perth in July. I'll be in Perth, Brisbane, and Sydney as well with the family. So it'll be really cool. I'm excited about that. Okay, so that's Tradefor. Trad 8 is this length here, which is 8 feet when it's extended, and then we're just redesigning Kink. So those of you who know what Kink is, basically Rhino Tube in normal use doesn't remember, you know, if you kink it, it becomes like a tap. It just turns itself off and then it pops back, you know. So basically you can push a tube into the kink and then it'll close the water off. So it's like a little tap system, yeah. So before we were making these out of carbon fiber tube, now we're making it out of an aluminum tube. And you'll see that we've got these O-rings here because we realized that they were slipping on the poles a little bit. So this will give it a little bit of a grip on the pole, you know, so it kind of doesn't want to move anywhere. But there's quite a big innovation that I'm actually pushing through. Now, I know if I'm gonna channel a little bit of what we learned from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was the first guy to take a floppy drive out of a computer. Steve Jobs was the first guy to take a CD-ROM, DVD-ROM out of a computer because he said it doesn't belong in the future. Scott is here, my favorite man. You're my favorite man. Anyway, it's good. So here's my learnings. From a fluid dynamics point of view, when you have a look at Hydroblade 2, and by the way, when I was in Perth, we were demonstrating to a bunch of guys, and it was really amazing. And we had the Hydroblade 2 from the Deep Frame. If you haven't seen that, go to youtube.com/future of cleaning and have a look at Deep Frame. Deep Frame, we've been able to bend the water. The water comes in the bottom, comes around the brush, and then goes back in the direction it came at more than 45 degrees. So we can place the water exactly where the brush bristles are on the glass in the corner, right? And then somebody said to me, well, why don't you do that for all constructor brushes? And I go, well, we developed Hydroblade 2 before we developed Deep Frame. So now what we're doing is just having another look at Hydroblade 2 with our new knowledge of how far we can bend water. We can bend water more than 45 degrees back in its own direction that it came in. And so we're going to have a look at redeveloping Hydroblade 2 for the constructor brush. Like I've got one here. You know, this is a solar brush, but whatever. So right now, if you use injection molding, right, you can the pins come into the mold, the plastic gets injected around the pins and around the shapes, and then the pins come out while the plastic's setting hard, right? So, but everything can only work at 90 degrees. You know, the pins come in, the pins come out. The mold goes in, the mold goes out. It can go in all sorts of different directions, but it's unless you put it on a curved rail and stuff like that, which you can't afford to do for anything in our industry, because we're not a mass production type industry, then you have this limitation. You can only squirt the water straight. So now if you look at window weapon, we're squirting the water back like this, more than 45 degrees, you know, back into the corner. So the recommendation from one of the window cleaners, which I completely agree with, is that we have a look at constructor brush and say, okay, well, what if we could, you know, when this is on the glass and these are splayed, right, then what if we put the water, you know, back up here as far as we can onto that. Can you see that? You know, the logic? Let me see if I can do it this way, because I can see it. So if we splay these bristles when they're on the glass, and then we want to take this jet here and we want to put the water, you know, somewhere up here. So that's what we're working on right now, and then that will give us Hydroblade 2 probably in its final form. Yeah. Okay, solar brush with green rubber is going amazingly well. We're also looking at let me see, I've got this stuff everywhere from my Australian trip, but let's have a look at this. So this is green rubber. Yep. So we've got a hard green rubber and we've got a soft green rubber. So we're trialing that. We've got Chris Virgin from the solar panel window cleaning friends. If you don't know anything about solar panel cleaning, there's a window cleaning group which he's running with 1,000 guys in it, and it's a very, very informative group and a very well-behaved group. You know, it doesn't have any of the slander in it, which is nice. So green rubber is working really well. With that guy that we made, the 36-inch, 1 meter wide solar brushes. Sorry about that, call coming in. We've got the feedback from him that it's an amazing tool, and he's really, really happy. He's very efficient with it, so we know we can. We've got developments going forward with solar panels, And then the next thing which we're working on is basically silicon bristles, right? So we're going to have a look at, we actually tested in Perth some little silicon bristle ideas and stuff like that. So, you may find that your nylon brush is, hopefully the nylon brush is, out of the ballpark in a really relatively short amount of time in the future, I mean, the whole thing is faster, better, safer. That's my whole game plan. So again, if you've got an idea to clean windows faster, better, safer, we are able to do our very best to manifest it. Nothing happens as quickly as you want, and nothing happens as perfectly as you want. I mean, pretty much history has shown that. Even for us, for cannons, gunslinger, there's always something which you can't foresee. Nobody does anything. Nobody sets it up to fail. Nobody makes a mistake in the assembly of a product that makes it intended to have a problem. But when a problem happens, you can only replace it and do the right thing by the customer and everything like that. So, we're still working very hard to perfect the window cleaning brush and at the same time not make any mistakes on the way through, right? So we've learned a lot. Here's another development, which are those of you who are seriously like Reach It customers, you'll appreciate this, right? This is Rhino hose. Oh, that's why I was channeling Steve Jobs, right? So this is my pitch. Okay, so this is where we're going. This is Rhino Tube. This is Rhino Hi-FLO. If you have a look at the internal diameters, this is 5 millimeters. If you turn 5 millimeters into a square and said, what's the area of it? You'd say 5 by 5 is 25. This one, the internal diameter is 7, right? So you can't see there's very much difference, but there is a difference. So 7. Now, if you turn the 7 into a square, 7 by 7 is 49. So this is, thanks buddy, thanks Scott, you're a champion. This carries half as much water as this. You look at the difference. There's not much difference, yeah? So what we're doing now is all the testing and the proving and setting it up. But you will find that where possible in the future, because all of the constructor brushes, 12-inch all-rounder, 16-inch all-rounder, 12-inch window weapon, 16-inch window weapon, deep frame, are all set with the same fluid dynamics. They're all got the same footprint at the brush, right? So now, if they will all behave the same if you connect Rhino Tube to them, and they'll all behave the same if you connect Rhino Hi-FLO to them, but they won't behave the same with Rhino Tube as they do with Hi-FLO. Hi-FLO will deliver more pressure, right? More water to the brush. And so we're going to make some videos so that you can see that clearly, and then we're making some changes, because you see what we do when we make a pole. Those of you who are not Reacher customers may not understand this, but when we make a pole, we put a push fit at the number 1 clamp. So when you've got this pole extended, you can put check it here, so we can put a TDS meter here, or you can just run your Rhino Tube to here. And then what we do is we run a loop, right, from here to the brush. So the weight of the tube when you're cleaning windows and up and down and catching on rose bushes and stuff like that, all of that load is on the pole. Now we also give you tube runner, so you can actually run that tube, down the length of the pole, right? So that's okay. It's the weight of the tube is with the pole, but if you want to let it drop, it doesn't matter either, because it's being carried by this push fit. Now, if we go to Hi-FLO, right, then all of a sudden this push fit is no good, yeah, because this is an 8 millimeter push fit or a 5/16, and this fits in there, right, but this doesn't. So we need to, everything which I do, I try and build in the retrospective. I don't want to, nobody should be penalized for being an earlier customer of Reach It compared to a later customer. Because if you're a latest customer, you went and bought from us today, you'll get our latest ideas. You'll get our latest techniques. You'll get us our latest products. You inherit, right, all the 8 years of development. And before that, if you go back, maybe 3 years, I'm a window cleaner. So Byron Guest is here. Good to see you, buddy. So if you think about it, you inherit all of this feedback from we've got, 100,000 likes on Facebook. They wrote to me recently, said you got 100,000 likes, right? And you go, it's a lot of communication, a lot of feedback with customers, telling me this, telling me that, what about this, complaining about this, complaining about that, doesn't matter which form it comes in. William Matthias, my friend, like you too, he's another Texan. So Dave McElhaney is here, and okay, so here's the thing. because we want to make sure that you're able to fit our new developments retrospectively to an existing window cleaning reach it system, right? Then what I'm going to do before we release and before we change the company over to HI-FLO away from Rhino Tube completely, is we're going to make a new adapter here that will hold basically a Rhino Tube push fit and a HI-FLO push fit. And that way, if you do run HI-FLO, you could choose to run HI-FLO to here and then run Rhino Tube to the brush, through the loop, because that'll make the brush, more gentle. Or you could run HI-FLO directly all the way to the brush. Like, all of those things will map those out for you, so you'll be able to understand, how to get the most water flow to your brush, from your system, all the way from the spigot through your filters, through your hose, through your tube, and all of that. So that's my whole focus right now, but I am going to make the call that Rhino Tube will be a thing of the past. It'll exist on, tiny small systems. Okay, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, we'll catch up real soon. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. See you, Scott. Love your style, buddy. Okay, so the future is in HI-FLO, and the HI-FLO pack will come with all of the adapters so that you can adapt constructor brushes. Those of you who've got, I'll just cover a few points, right, because I'm rambling a little bit. But you'll see the new like a modern constructor brush has a wide gap here, cut away out of the channel. And if you look at the early constructor brushes, do I have one? I have all sorts of things on my desk. Yep. Okay. Here. So this is an earlier one, right? So the 12 inch is still okay with this, with a metal T in here, but you can see that it's only like less than half an inch cut away here. So what's happening? We've got lots happening, Jamie. So if you've got an older constructor brush and you want to convert it, so you can get it to HI-FLO, then you would need to cut away, without having to buy a new brush, you'd have to cut away, just hacksaw away and clean that up and make a gap so that you can put a push fit in there. And once you put that push fit in there, you can have a 10mm push fit for HI-FLO, taking it through to the Rhino Tube, or you can have an 8mm push fit and have Rhino Tube going straight to there. Yeah, Rhino HI-FLO. Rhino Tube is the one that we currently put out with the poles and brushes. So, but the future is going to be with HI-FLO, because we want, what we've learned. We've had 0.7mm jets, 0.8mm jets, 1mm jets. And we know that the 1mm jets work better. They deliver a better flow. And now we've got the water. I don't know if any of you have studied laminar flow, but if you haven't, Google it and just watch anything on laminar flow and you'll be blown away. So the whole reason why, we've always pursued having barrels for our jets and everything is we're looking for laminar flow. Laminar flow is the intention of getting the water to behave in a gentle way, like no turbulence, basically the absence of turbulence, right? So all the water molecules are lined up, and that's 100% what we're trying to do, because what do we want when we get to the spot-free rinse? The constructor brush, some people don't even know what the difference, but like I understand why, it's my responsibility, but you see this, like when you put this on the glass, water does not go through it. This is a blade. It's a blade of bristles. So you can have all these jets running and there'll be no water under the brush, right? So when this is coming down the glass, this bristle here is breaking the surface tension of the glass. These jets are delivering water just to the top of that, that's all it needs, right? So the water sits on top of these bristles as it comes down the glass, obviously they're splayed, yeah? And then it cascades. And in many, Gene O'Neill is here. Oh, Gene, I am completely ready to make a roof brush with you, right? I was in Australia. I saw the ColourBond. I don't know if you guys call it ColourBond, but I saw the punched steel powder coated panels, and I completely know now with the new technology that we've got. I know exactly what to do. So let's touch base on Messenger for that. It'd be really exciting. I know you've been encouraging me forever to get into that, so I'm ready. I know, because I know what to do. Okay, so here it is. The constructor brush it breaks the surface tension of the glass. Now, if you've got a normal brush, I don't have one here, but if you have a normal brush, then they basically staple every 1/8 of an inch, they staple 1/8 of an inch round of bristles, like they fold them over and staple them in, and then they have a 1/8 of an inch gap, and then 1/8 of an inch of bristles punched in, and then 1/8 of an inch gap. If you look closely at a brush or a broom, right, it's the same technology, basically stapled bristle technology. So the thing is, if you put that against the glass, the water runs all the way through it. So you haven't got the same. Having a rinse bar doesn't give you hydrophobic glass turning hydrophilic if the water runs through the bristles. It only happens because the water doesn't run through the bristles, so there's an absolute broken surface tension edge to edge. The water from the jets hits that, sits on that, inherits it, and cascades. Hey, Philip Kuntz is here. Good. And what's amazing about that, which I mean, I've been with Peter Thomas and we've done it together, and I've been with Craig Harbin, and what's amazing about it, we can leave the window dry straight after the downpour. Now, it's not on every piece of glass, so that's the holy grail for me now, is to pursue that we can do that with any piece of glass, right? So we're trying to work out why can I rinse with a cascading rinse with a constructor brush, and some pieces of glass will be 100% dry straight after the downpour, and other ones won't. And the answer is in hydrophobic, right? The more hydrophobic the glass, I think, the more George is here. The more hydrophobic the glass is, the more possible it is to do a downstroke rinse and leave the window dry, right? 5 seconds later, maybe 2 seconds later. I don't know. It depends probably on the temperature of the day. Okay, so that's what makes constructor brush on the downstroke when you rinse. It's an amazing phenomenon which is only possible with constructor brush, right? And that's what makes it. You agitate on the upstroke, rinse on the downstroke. You know, window weapon is incredible because you can put all sorts of, you know, scrubs. Doesn't matter, you know what it is that you want to be able to take the non-water solubles off. So that's where. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I'm passionate about it because I can taste perfection. You know, I can taste the fastest window cleaning brush, you know, in every sense. Okay. All right, so what else have I got on? Sunday, I'll probably make a public declaration properly, but Sunday we're signing a lease for a new factory. So that'll be a move. I think we're planning it on, I think we get access in August, move in September. So we have a factory that's 40% bigger and a little bit nicer. Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. We have Wash It Pro 2 is in production, so that'll be ready for phase, for the Q3 of 2019. So that Wash It Pro 2 will be called Flow Rugged, and it's basically a 40/40 pure water system, which is designed basically for workers' abuse, right? So it's going to be ugly, and you'll be able to throw it around and bash it up and things like that. Whereas Flow Red is designed, in my opinion, when a customer sees you make $250 an hour, they're going to go, that was a lot, and you go, well, I invested a lot. And then when they look at what you invested in, it should look like you spent a lot of money on it. So Flow Red, some people say it looks like an espresso machine, but it's very much designed for the customer's eye as much as yours. So it's very much geared around the customer's impression. Yeah. So we're excited about that. Okay, thanks, Graham. Yeah, you've probably heard the best of it anyway. But what else have we got going on? You got any questions? We have really got a lot going on. We've got some changes to the clamps coming through. We've got new power and control that's in distribution now. Window weapon deep frame dispatched Monday, the first bunch of orders. And so we've got a bit of a backlog on those, but that's exciting for us. And then we're going to make a deep frame all-rounder. The traditional brushes we've had, Industrial, Swift, and Beast, are all going to come off the website. You'll still be able to buy bristle packs for them, so you'll be able to make one, and we'll still be able to make them to order, but they won't be confusing. What my belief is, that there are really only 3 brushes that we'll focus on. Is the range that we call All Rounder, which is 100% DuPont nylon bristle. The range that we call Window Weapon, which has got the scrubby pad and as many different variations of this as we can consider to make cleaning the non-water solubles. So Window Weapon is for non-water solubles, all that area where people says window cleaning doesn't work but traditional does, right? The Window Weapon is all about that. And then Window Weapon Deep Frame belongs in the Window Weapon family. And then the other one is solar panel brushes, whether they're nylon brushes or whether they're using the basically the rubbers. So if you want to know the difference, like when you look at window weapon and you look at all the different tools that we're promoting, I've got a real quick summary. Bristle scratch, blade scrape, and rubber grabs, right? So if you remember, you know, if you haven't got any toothpaste and you've been out in the bush for a couple of days and you hear it go, right? So it's that same logic. If you get any piece of rubber and rub it on a piece of glass with a little bit of water underneath it, you'll feel that it's grabbing stuff, right? And microfiber also grabs, but microfiber's got a problem that if you grab a piece of sand and roll it on the glass, you can scratch the glass. So I'm always worried about microfiber. So you really want something where like even the rubber grabs, but you can see the water and the dirt and the dust and anything which gets caught in it can still flow through it, right? It can still get out of it. You know, I think that's important. It's not going to be held and pushed and rolled against the glass. So the principles of the future, as I see it, is when it comes to non-water solubles, then the rubberized surfaces are going to start to dominate, right? So if you have a look at the toothbrush industry, you can see that if you buy a Colgate or a Unilever toothbrush, right, then those toothbrushes are now have got nylon around the outside, maybe or maybe not, and then, you know, thermoplastic rubbers or silicons or whatever they are, you know, bristles on the inside, because that grabs the stuff off your teeth, right? And so the same as with glass. If you look at commercial glass cleaning tools for industrial kitchens, there's rubberized, you know, you've got your scrubbing brush, right? Your nylon scrubbing brush that you brush the dishes with, but you also see increasingly there's siliconized scrubbing brushes for washing the dishes, yeah? So you could say, okay, the cleaning industry is moving. The question is whether the window cleaning is going to follow it. And so I'm following the cleaning industry and bringing it into the window cleaning industry. And I think we've got a head start on that. And some of the things where people go to copy us, they just don't even know what it is that they're copying. And so they say, oh, we've got a rinse bar. And so, okay, constructor's got a rinse bar. We've got a rinse bar. Therefore, you know, we are a constructor. No, you're not. Because you don't break the surface tension of the glass, and you don't get a guaranteed rinse on the downstroke. You know, you don't, like, even now, if any of you have got a constructor, if you just squirt the glass, right, and count the number of beads of water, and then you run your constructor brush down the glass and count the number of beads of water, you know you've completely reduced the number of beads of glass on the water, right? The number of beads of water on the glass, okay? Alrighty, I am on fire. All right, so what else? Tom Brenniger's here. Whoo-wee. So factory's good. We've opened. Christine Lee was on here a while ago. I don't know if she's still here, but we've opened in South Korea. So we've done some training days there. Hopefully we're going to go back there as well for another one. And we're opening Indonesia with a distributor there. So we're pretty excited about that. And then we've got applications from Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, Russia, and a couple of other countries that I can't remember. So, you know, we're looking to do that. So from an American side, we've got a new program that we're about to release, and making sure that we get local representation around America. So I'll be also making an announcement on that real soon. Very, very exciting times at Reach It. Okay, that's all my news. I've got so much to do. I'm so far behind. Kirill is here. Kirill, we need to talk. Yeah, so we've got window weapon deep framers ready. I think you're going to talk to Dante on that. And then I think there's something else we've got in our minds with you as well that you've been working on, or that we're working on with you in mind. We've really got a load of feedback from different window cleaners coming in left, right, and center. Byron, you would have seen Byron Guest was on here earlier. We're working with him on some stuff as well. We really, really have a lot of good ideas being fed to us, and it's going to be a really exciting time. From a traditional point of view, we're not well, actually we are. We're kind of heading into the traditional tools right now. So, but it won't happen quickly. It'll be 6 to 9 months. All right, exciting times. All right, I'm gonna sign out, and I will. Andy, you're joining me when I'm leaving. So I'll post it back up and have a quick look, see if it's good. I've covered, just so those of you joining right at the end, I've covered Tradefor. Right, we have Tradefor, Trade 8, Trade 12 poles in production. We're just running with a typical tip, but I'm interested in what else you want on that tip. We've got holsters. I want to make this Tradefor pack more than just a pole. That's probably my big question. I'll put it in the text after this. Like, what else if you're going to have a trad pole, what else? We're going to make a holster for the 4, right? So you'll be able to carry it down your leg and have a little zip up or a little clip on the top of it. I want to make it that if you get a trad pole from us, it's not just you bought a trad pole, but you bought a trad pole kit that made you more efficient, right? So it'll, you know, there's a few things there that we want to talk. Luke is here from Perth, Australia. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, you're here right at the end. We've talked trad pole. We've talked what Kevlar looks like. That's real Kevlar. That's sanded, right? So that's raw Kevlar, right? Look at that. Where is it? That's what it looks like. Ugly as crap, right? So you can see it underneath here, right? You can see the Kevlar is underneath there. So that's what we're doing, is making sure you know this is Kevlar, right? Not that we just print Kevlar on it and then hope you believe it. Yeah, you'd have to go back to the beginning, Luke. There's too much going on, okay? Love your style, guys. Hope you're having a fantastic season in the Northern Hemisphere. Hope you have a mild winter in the Southern Hemisphere. And look forward to talking with you all soon.